This is a 4-channel audio mixer with built-in effects, USB, and a graphic equalizer for a phenomenal price. Let's take a look at it. What's up everybody, and welcome back to the Phase Reviews YouTube channel. My name is Jordan Nelson, and today I have the PTX-15 from Phenyx. This is a 4-channel audio mixer. It's a budget audio mixer for those of you that are maybe just getting into doing sound for a band, or you're a DJ looking to add some more channels to your setup. This is gonna be a great affordable option, and it has quite a lot of features for around the $100 price point. I'm gonna give you a full overview of this mixer today. I'm gonna give you a top-down look at all of the different features and tell you what each of them do. I'll show you what comes in the box. I'll tell you about build quality, and I'll give you my real-world experience using this mixer, and I'll let you know whether or not you should pick one up for yourself. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for being here. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. We'll talk about subscribing a little more towards the end because I don't want to waste your time. Let's get into looking at this mixer. On this channel, I always start with the packaging of the product. I think the packaging says a lot about the company and about the product itself. If the company invests the time into making sure the packaging looks good, it says a lot about the product. So Phenyx, they package their products pretty uniquely, and the fact that their boxes are very minimalistic. It's usually just a black and white, maybe minimally colored image of the product. It's got the model number, a brief description of what the product does, and that's about it. It's not flashy, it's not glossy graphics, but I think they put their money into features, which is not something I can knock, because that's a great place to put your money instead of just into the packaging. But it's good. It gives you information on the warranty. Oh, stuff's gonna fall out here. You've got all of the specs of the mixer here on the back. You've got pictures, color pictures of what's included in the box, and overall it came really well packaged, not damaged, plenty of foam in there to keep it safe during transit. Now let's open this up and show you what comes in it. Right at the top, you've got your power cord. One of the things I love about this power cord, which seems like a dumb thing to spend a lot of time on, it is locking. So it's a locking power cord. Now granted, it's not an IEC, which is kind of a standard audio and lighting power cable. This is a little more specialized. It's like a 4-pin audio cable, but it is locking, so that is great. No one's gonna come by when you're doing your gig and pull out your mixer power cord accidentally. You'll have a lot more problems if your mixer falls off the table if someone pulls it that hard. So great thing to have. After that, you've got the mixer itself, and underneath the mixer you have the manual. The manual is another thing I like to talk about, because sometimes products coming from China, maybe the manual's not as detailed or not as easy to read. Phenyx is a company based in the US. While their products are manufactured in China, their manuals are super easy to read, nice full drawings of all the features, and easy to understand descriptions of what the product does. So I like that they include such a well-written manual. And then we've got the mixer itself. So it's in this foam. I'm going to take it off. And one of the things that struck me first about this mixer, obviously I've had this out and I've used it, I just repackaged it so you could see the unboxing, but one of the things that really struck me about this mixer is the white top. You don't see that very often. Usually mixers are very black and very nondescript. This stands out. If you do weddings, I love the color white for wedding DJs, and people are doing those kinds of events. So I think this is kind of flashy and unique. So if that's, if image is big to you, you got the white cover here. You've also got colored faders down here, which is great if you need to keep track of what channel you're adjusting. For example, left or right, MP3 level effects, what have you. You've got colored, differentiation. If it's a dark room, or on the fly you need to adjust something, you can do it by sight instead of by reading the text or remembering where you put things. So I like that. After looking at packaging, I like to talk about construction, and this is one area I think there could be an improvement. It's not terrible. It's definitely got a good weight to it, but it's an all plastic design. You can kind of hear, a little bit hollow. Nothing terrible, again, for the price point, but it is an all plastic design, so keep that in mind. Might not be as roadworthy as some more expensive options, but provided you put this in a good case, maybe, cover it with a blanket or, with a piece of foam, which you should be doing with your gear anyway, it's gonna be fine. So let's put the camera overhead and I'll give you a top-down look at all of the different options and features of this mixer. Taking a look at this mixer from the top, you're gonna notice it's laid out pretty much like most other entry-level live sound mixers. You've got your channel faders along the bottom, as well as controls for the effects and the level of the MP3 player and the master outputs. you've got your EQ, your 3-band EQ right here, as well as controls for the gain and the pan. You've got your inputs along the top, your outputs on the right side. One thing that this has that most mixers don't have is a USB audio player, so you can put in a USB stick, and we'll talk about that in a second. I think that's really cool. You've got your effects unit right below, a little graphic equalizer here, and then your output level meters, as well as a phone's output for monitoring the mix from the front of sound booth. Okay, so let's take a look at an individual channel. Starting at the top, you have an XLR input, so that could be for a microphone, and then below that you have a line level input, which is a 1/4 inch. So it does not specify if this is tip ring sleeve or tip sleeve only, so mono or stereo. I would be under the impression that these would be mono inputs, so if you need to do a stereo, you would just go into 2 of the channels. Okay, below the inputs you have the gain knob. It's just labeled 0 to 10. There are no detents on any of these knobs. That would be something I would improve as well. There's no detent in the middle. That's not a make or break feature, but it is, handy if you need to get things back to normal relatively quickly to have a detent. But honestly, if you're starting out, you're buying your first audio mixer, it's not the end of the world if there's not like a clicky detent in the middle there. Below the gain, you have the 3-band EQ, high, mid, and low. So if you want to make more sweeping, broad adjustments to the EQ, you can do that here. And I like that they've offset this area with black so that you know this is your EQ and it's not your effects or your gain knob. So you can quickly go and adjust high, mids, or lows without having to, fumble in the dark. Below that, you have effects send. So if you want to apply effects to this channel, individually, you can do that with this knob. And then you've also got a pan or balance knob here, so you can take this channel all the way to the left or to the right. So if you were using, 2 lines here for a left and right stereo image, you could pan one left and one to the right. Oop, let me put that back. Okay, super, super nice. All right. Set that back to normal. Good. Below the EQ and the effects and pan, you've just got your channel faders here. A lot of budget entry-level mixers have just a volume knob instead of a fader. I love having faders. It's a much more visual way to see where the levels of your individual channels are set, so I'm glad that they included faders and not volume knobs. And then next to that, you have a limiter light or a clip light, so if you're overdriving the channel, that will flash. And then you also got a solo button, so if you want to mute everything else and just listen to one channel during a sound check or what have you, you can do that with the solo button. Pretty standard features. Not all of these are included on budget mixers, so it's nice to see that they've pretty much included all the necessities here. Moving to the right, we'll just keep going along the fader line here. You've got the effects fader, so this will adjust the overall effects volume for the whole mixer or for the main output. You have the MP3 level. Now this applies up here to the MP3 player. You can plug in a USB stick and play WAV, MP3, or WMA files from the mixer itself. Awesome for sound reinforcement if you need a backup, or if you just need tracks for like a cocktail hour or for some kind of hands-off environment. You just plug in your USB stick, you've got play, pause, stop, back and forward, as well as adjusting the mode here. Speaking about this mode button, you'll notice it says BT. Well, you probably can't because the camera's a little far away, but this has Bluetooth functionality as well. So if you want to link your phone up to this, again, is another redundant backup option, or just as a playback option for more low-key situations, you can pair your phone to this mixer through Bluetooth, no sweat. Jumping back a bit, you've got your main outputs. These are tip ring sleeve, left and right outputs. You also have your effects send and effects return, as well as a record output. So this is a line level output if you want to record whatever's happening in your mixer to like a Tascam or a Zoom recorder. You can do that with these RCA outputs. I wish, I love when mixers have XLR main outputs. Again, most things at this price point do not have that, so I'm not like shocked to see it, but that could be an upgrade in a future version. Below the outputs and the MP3 player, you have the effects section. You have the ability to adjust, again, the effects send right here. While this is the effects return, this is the effects send from this little inbuilt effects unit. Getting a closer look at the effects unit, it's still a little bit glary from the light, but I'll try here and cover it up a little bit. Below the little screen, you have a list of the 16 effects that the mixer has. You've got things like your standard delays, reverbs, an echo, cathedral, all sorts of things that you would see on an entry-level mixer. And you can adjust those just by clicking through this clicky knob to the one you like and then push down and select the effect. Next to the list of effects, you have your volume control for the headphones, and below that you have your 3-band EQ, which gives you adjustments at 80 Hz, 350 Hz, 1 kHz, 4 kHz, and 12 kHz. Not a ton of channels, but if you've got a bit of feedback and you want to notch something out a little bit, you're able to do that on this mixer. You have your level meter off to the side here above the headphone output, and you've got light indicators for -10, -4, 0 dB, +4, and +7. So you can definitely make sure that you're not clipping or overdriving the output of the mixer. Last but not least, you have phantom power here. So if you use condenser microphones over on the microphone inputs, you can send the 48 volts to the microphones to power them. Last but not least, let's talk about some real world use that I've done with the Phenyx PTX-15. Now, before everyone blows up the comments saying, I want to listen to the mixer, I'm not going to do that. There is no way that after it goes through my camera's crappy microphone, through YouTube's compression, and out your speakers or headphones, which may or may not be good, that you're going to get any idea of how this actually sounds. So I'll try and describe it as best I can. Starting from the top with the good, the output on this is very high. You get a lot of volume out of this, and the volume is accompanied by a relatively low noise floor. I had the master knobs up all the way and the gain up all the way on the microphone, and there wasn't any additional noise introduced into my PA system. So that's sometimes a worry with more budget mixers, is that their noise floor is very high, so even when you don't have something playing, you just hear like a you know, the white noise coming through your system. Not a problem with this. You get plenty of volume comparable to my Mackie Pro FX, which is my main mixer that I take out for DJ gigs and live sound, and so I like that you don't have to deal with a noise floor. That's a big pro for this. All of the channels work. I tested every mic, every line, all of the EQs, the graphic EQ, the effects, and nothing is like broken or sticky or dealing with a short out of the box. So that's always nice to see in a more budget mixer. The Bluetooth works fantastic. No latency, great range. I walked about 50 feet into the garage to go get a cable through the walls, and it still played. I could hear it, no dropouts, no nothing like that. So the Bluetooth works well if you need that. The outputs, I used a tip sleeve. I didn't use a stereo cable, and they worked that way as well. So that's nice to know you have flexibility there. And there wasn't any noise or fuzziness moving all of these faders. They all functioned without any introduced noise into the system. So all in all, sound-wise, it's really good. Now let's talk about a couple cons. The biggest one for me is this effects unit. I would not buy this mixer for the effects. They sound very gimmicky and very basic, and especially the reverb, the delay. You know, normally you get kind of just that fullness, that kind of I'm in a big room sound. With these, it sounds like an echo, like hey, whoa, 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 whoa. It's just like a doubling echo effect. They all kind of sound similar. There's not really a big difference. So effect-wise, if you need like good quality reverb for, you know, vocals, I would not use this effects processor. Now you have effects send, so if you want to use an external effects processor, you can with that. Sound-wise, the rest of the mixer is great, but the effects, not so good. One other con with this mixer actually has to do with the Bluetooth unit. I already talked about the sound quality being great and the range being good, but setting it up is not very straightforward. The manual, unfortunately, does not give direction as to how to pair the Bluetooth. I pushed the mode button until it said blue on the screen, and I just waited, and eventually the mixer popped up in the available connections on my phone, and then I could connect, and it was no sweat after that. But it didn't say to like hold a button to get it to pair, or whether I should sit or wait. I was kind of confused for a while, but eventually it paired, and there was no sweat there. One last thing that I think could be improved would be the gain knobs. So with a microphone, I couldn't hear, you know, with the volume up at Unity at 0, I couldn't hear anything, so I would boost the gain, boost the gain, boost the gain, and then once I got between about 7 and 10, you know, right at the top range of the gain, that's when you really started bumping the sound. So I would say if you're going to use microphones with this, I would just put the gain all the way up and then modulate the volume with the fader. It didn't sound distorted, it didn't sound like it was clipping when I did that. It's weird that you have to do that, you know, that's just with a passive microphone. Maybe if I was using the line level input or something something, I wouldn't have to boost that gain so much. But there's just not much usable range at the beginning until you get up to the very, very end of the gain knob. But again, I just would turn it up and use the volume fader to adjust the sound level, and that would work perfectly fine. Final thoughts on the PTX-15. I think for $100, this offers a lot of features, especially the Bluetooth, the MP3 player, and the volume faders that a lot of budget, affordable mixing consoles don't have. They may be better quality, they may be more compact, but they really don't include features like that at this price point. So it's going to come down to what are your priorities in a mixer. Do you want something that's kind of flashy with the white? Do you want the ability to play MP3 files and to play from your phone without having to worry about, other sources of backup audio? This is going to be a great system for you. Do you want top durability, and do you want maybe a little more functional gain knob? You might want to go a different route, but I wouldn't hesitate to recommend this to a beginner, an entry level, someone that's just kind of wanting to dabble in sound. With all the features this has, it's going to allow you to kind of experiment with what things you like and which things you're going to use in your situation, and then if you want to upgrade down the road, you always can. But no problems with it, no staticky sound, no connection issues, no shorts in the power cable. It really worked flawlessly, and so for that I can say if you want one, go for it. I always include a link to purchase down in the description, so if you want to pick up one of these, you can do it through there and support the channel. You can go check out a few more of the features at that link. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're not a subscriber, consider becoming one, and I will see you next time.